Hello? 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 Okay. Hello? 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 Strange. Hello? 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 Okay, according to everything on my end, everything's okay. But, well, according to the stream, everything's okay. Just let me know if it's not, though. But anyway, probably the weirdest start to a stream we've had ever. Big ups to everyone who's tuning in. Big ups to Glimpse. Big ups to Tal Seif. Apologies for that weird start. I'm not sure why, but on my end, it's saying that my mic's not working. But I've just loaded up the stream and it seems to be working fine. So we're just gonna go with it. All right. Now then, lots to talk about. Okay, the international break is rounding up. It's been a little while, so I'm going to talk about some breaking news actually, big news that dropped today. So let's first cover that because I think it's only right that we do cover such a big player for us for many a year. Fernandinho has announced his retirement from professional football. It's absolutely incredible player when he was with us, at least. Captained us to 2 Premier League titles, I believe. He was superb at the helm of the club for us. Such like an underrated CDM as well. He was so good. He won't get like a statue or anything like that. Okay, of course he won't. That's fine. Not everyone needs a statue, but absolutely a legend. Had so many great moments for us over the years. And just forever just playing superbly. It feels so weird that he left the club 3 years ago. It feels, I know it feels a bit longer, but I know 2022 for Fernandinho that doesn't even feel too long ago, but then again, it feels like Fernandinho left ages ago. But it's been 3 years without Fernandinho. We've had some highs, we've had some lows, and he's been superb for the times he was with us. Completed a really good period with us. Of course, he did. If we look at transfer market now and look at Fernandinho, it's quite an interesting story actually, and it's why I always feel like signing an older player isn't a bad thing, like Fernandinho. Signing Fernandinho, we signed him when he was 28 years old. Okay, you might think, okay, he'll be at the club for a couple years, 4 years very most, before the club maybe moves him on. Looks to get rid. And bear in mind, okay, joined in 2013. So big period he was with the club for. 2014. No, he joined 2013. And he left all the way in 2022. I know it says 2021 there, but this is when he joined his club. Here's when he left. Left in 2022, 9 years later, left at the age of 37. And it just shows, how long this guy was good for us, Premier League, he had over 200 games for us. Over 200 games for us, over 50 goal contributions, mainly playing at DM, filled in different areas as well, of course, but he was so good for us. So good, and just great to have such a player to have been a part of our club, and just, again, a little bit underrated in my opinion. But let's move off Fernandinho, and we're going to have a look at the World Cup qualifiers now, because that's all wrapped up. That's all wrapped up now, and we get to actually see how that all shaped up. So let's have a look at the England football team, because of course that will always be a big focus. Let me share my screen. Not too sure why I closed it. Here we are. So England, if we're going off the most recent games, 2-0 versus Serbia with Bukayo Saka and Eze. Of course, you guys probably would have heard of the legendary Phil Foden assist. I feel like Phil Foden himself's getting a bit too much stick for that. And, the stick should be on the commentator, really. Because for me, the pass from Phil Foden, we all know what I'm talking about because it absolutely blew up online. The pass from Phil Foden is decent. It is a solid pass. The pass is like a 7. It's a good ball. It is the commentator does say it right. The ball is, well weighed and everything like that. The ball is bang on. The ball is what it needs to be. But before I sound like I'm one of them commentators, the finish is superb from Eze. The finish is what makes that goal. Not Phil Foden's assist. The assist is fine, but the goal itself is better and is brilliant. It's a really good goal from Eberechi Eze. Of course, both the Arsenal guys scoring on this game. It was a really good goal. But yeah, I feel like Phil Foden himself's getting a little too much stick, for ultimately just putting for a decent ball. And then Albania, both goals scored by Harry Kane. Nico Riley with another start. Don't think he got either assist, which he didn't. But big ups to O'Reilly and all the other City players, of course, who were participating in this, because they've done well and they've gotten through. So big ups to them. They'll be in the World Cup, which I'm excited for. 2026, guys. Feels weird to be thinking that far ahead. By the time this World Cup comes around, the tournament would have been wrapped up. Just comment on Erling Haaland real quick. 16 goals for Norway in this competition, which is nuts considering. With a look real quick, see where their group is. 37 goals scored for Norway, and not from Erling, but just Norway in general. So, like, it's not even a case of Haaland scoring all their goals. You know, Haaland has scored almost 50% of them, but the rest of the team's pitching in too, to be fair. You know, 8 wins out of 8. You know, they've absolutely bullied Italy on both occasions. You know, they've had to make Italy settle for a playoff spot, so they've got to hope they get through that. You know, it's a really, really good really good tournament for Norway. You know, they've made history there, and they're reaping the rewards by going to the World Cup next year. And a World Cup with Erling Haaland playing in it is a better World Cup. I think we can all agree. But we'll scroll back up to the top real quick. None of these countries are really relevant to us, but big ups to Leroy Sané, who I believe featured. Akanji's nation finishes top, but I'm not too bothered. Scotland have beaten Denmark to top spot, so big ups to them. France beat Ukraine to top spot. Not too surprised. And Spain are top here. Of course, this is Rodri's nation. I'm not too sure whether he would have featured or not. I don't think he would have. Can't see a Rodri anywhere. No sign of a Rodri. Yeah, no Rodri. Not surprised, but big ups to him anyway. It means he'll hopefully be in the World Cup. Last thing I want is him to be injured during that as well. That would just suck for him, I imagine. This is Nations League. We're there. Alright, we're there. Yeah, I was looking at the right thing. It's just loaded it back onto the Nations League for some reason. Portugal and Ireland. Huge scenes in this game, the Ireland game. I know we've got no players that play there, but I'm pretty sure it's a last-minute winner from Ireland that put them through. Yeah, here you go. Hat-trick from blinking Troy Parrott. Big ups to him. You know, it's huge for Ireland. I'm not really bothered by Ireland, to be honest. They can go out. I hope they go out. You know, I'm not really bothered about Ireland, to be honest. But hey, it's big for them, so congrats. Nations League again. But also more important than Ireland, of course, Portugal, who've got a couple of our players actually, you know, Bernardo, Diaz, Nunes. Those 3, you know, big ups to those 3. All going through with their nation, top spot as well, so they're guaranteed in. Now then, Netherlands. Netherlands actually a bit of a hot topic because we've got one player excelling for both club and country, and one player who's at risk of not excelling for either at the rate it's going for Man City. And I am talking about Nathan Ake when it comes to that. Dejani Reinders, by the way, congratulations to him, who played superbly for the Netherlands, as he's been pretty good for us as well, to be fair, so fair play there. But Nathan Ake is a hot topic right now at Manchester City. Of course, he's hardly featured for us over the international break, and apparently his frustrations are becoming clear, you know. And, you know, fair enough. You know, Nathan Ake is a player that has had problems being fit for City. You know, this is maybe not his last World Cup, but probably his last World Cup at his best, if we're completely honest. But, you know, Nathan Ake, he's a player who is very good at what he does and has been fit this season and hasn't really played for City. You know, these are his minutes. He's had just over 2 starts worth of minutes in the Premier League. You know, about 2 starts and 20 minutes. He's had 2 full starts in the EFL Cup and 10 minutes in the Champions League, but he doesn't live for 2 starts in the EFL Cup. That's not why Nathan Ake plays football. You know, he's been in the starting 11 one single time, and that was in a loss, and has got minutes here and there. Starting 11 against Everton, which was a win. And he got a big amount of minutes against Tottenham due to injury on Ait Nouri, but that ended up being a loss. So out of all the opportunities he's had to impress and whatnot, hasn't really been able to. Even when he came on against Arsenal, we ended up conceding. And against Burnley, the game was all said and done, basically, at that point. You know, just needed to make sure there was no actual silliness. And, there have been, it's been reported that Ake is frustrated and that a January move, never mind a summer move, could be possible because he's obviously been warned by Kerman, who I believe is still the Netherlands coach. He's been warned by him, like, I want you in this squad because you're obviously a very good player, but I can't play players who aren't playing. Like, this isn't really enough. Less than 3 games worth of minutes in the Premier League for a fully fit player isn't good enough, ultimately, to be deemed worthy of going to a World Cup with his country. And he understands that. We understand that, I believe. And so that's why the move could happen. I'm just curious to see where Ake would go, but not like I'm saying, like, oh, there's no way he could go outside of City. He won't make it anywhere else. Of course not. I'm also just curious where that would be. Like, where will Nathan Ake go? Is my question, really. If it is the end of Ake at City, which it wouldn't surprise me, I do want to say that absolute big ups to him. He's had 5 years at the club so far, and by January it'll be 5.5, and he's been superb. He's had such good moments. Rocky first season, but after that it's been brilliant whenever he's been available. Took the left back role at City, made it his own, and it's been an absolutely superb player in our system. For the times he was crucial towards the treble, had some superb games outside the treble as well. I remember that goal against Arsenal in the FA Cup. He's been brilliant, and I obviously wanted to say I like Nathan Ake, but I could hardly blame him if he left, So it's really a wait and see where Nathan Ake is concerned now, but I hope he stays. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if he did end up leaving. But a place I do want to go now is football, and we're going to have another look at the Netherlands because, of course, our boy Tijani Reinders is excelling. Big ups to Marmoush, by the way, who had a good game with Egypt recently. I believe he scored a goal, I think. And if we have a look at the lineup here, I believe Reinders got a goal and an assist, as evident. Not man of the match, as that was Cody Gakpo with similar amount of goal contributions, barely missing out, FYI, with an 8.8. Overall, pretty good performance from the squad, to be fair. Ake even getting a 7.2. So fair play to the team. It was pretty good. It was pretty good going. Now, we'll have a quick look at Norway as well. I believe good news for Oscar Bob lovers as myself. I believe Norway actually had a pretty good game against Italy, as shown, and because of that, I believe Oscar Bob came off the bench and got to have some good time as well. 15 minutes off the bench and performed. There's obviously a bit of a confidence issue with Oscar Bob right now, which sucks. And to be fair, I want Oscar Bob at his best, but good games with his international team will only add to making that confidence better. Donnarumma over 4.3 this game. Difficult one for him, to be fair. Playing against Haaland and this electric attack for Norway. It's a brilliant front three. Soloff, who's at Atletico Madrid, Nusa, who's at Leipzig, and he's so young and electric. It wouldn't surprise me if this guy gets a big move in a year or two. Really, really good player, and of course they've got Erling Haaland, and under normal circumstances they've got Odegaard in here as well, who isn't the worst midfielder ever. I don't rate him as highly as others, but he's pretty good. He's not bad, and of course you've got decent players like Oscar Bob available as well. So their squad is looking pretty good. Norway, is it like the best in the world? No, but it's not bad. Okay, and it's good enough to take teams on like Italy, and quite frankly batter them. This was an important game for Italy at their home ground. And they got absolutely cooked. Haaland, unstoppable again, with 32 goals now this season, and just cooking some of the best players in the world. Donnarumma, one of the best goalies in the world right now. Bastoni, one of the best centre-backs in the world. DeMarco, one of the best at what he does. Decent attack themselves. It's not the greatest Italy squad ever, but it's not bad. It's one that on paper you'd probably think to do a bit better against Norway, especially at home. We will have another look here now. Have a look. Who do I want to look at specifically? Quickly scroll through. Belgium. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, Belgium. Big one, this. Of course, no Kevin De Bruyne to look at. But Jeremy Doku having a brilliant game with his international team again. A 7-0 win against Liechtenstein. Fair play. And Doku, man of the match in this one as well, 3 goal contributions. To be fair, it's Liechtenstein. It's not the biggest test ever. But fair play to Doku, did the job, got man of the match. And, hey, I'm all for it, man. 16 G&A this season now for Doku. Man, bring this form back into club football. We're going to need it this weekend against Newcastle. Man, I'm all for it. Bring it, Doku, superb at the moment for club and country. And I really, really hope he keeps it up, I was on the club of, I'm not too sure where I stand with Doku, thinking that he's probably not good enough. This is probably his last season, and it'll probably be mediocre at best. Earlier this season I was saying start Savinho. After I made that video, Doku started, and he's been brilliant for the most part. Can hardly have a go at him. He's been really, really good, and I'm really, really happy for that. He's been so, so good. And I like that. I like to see all City players doing well. So big ups to him. Other than that, who we got? Croatia, big ups to them. That's a guaranteed spot. Kovacic and Vardy are going to be very happy. The group favoured them a bit, but oh well. Big ups to them. You go beat what's in front of you. Any other teams in here to take note of before we look elsewhere? Albania getting through just over Serbia. Wales, I think Wales won 7-1 or something, by the way. Poland missing out on a guaranteed qualifier spot. Turkey, yeah, no too much surprises apart from maybe Scotland over Denmark. Not too many surprises, to be fair. So, hey, big ups to those. Now let's have a look elsewhere. If I'm not wrong, I think Egypt are going to the World Cup. Marmoush was the player to score against Cape Verde. I'm not too sure why Cape Verde has a line through them, by the way. Penalty shootout, that's why. And Marmoush did miss from the penalty spot, but it didn't matter as Cape Verde missed all their penalties and they went through anyway. So, hey, big ups to them. We got a goal in the game anyway. So, yeah, big ups to Egypt. They're going through. We'll see them at the Club World Cup, I believe. I'm not too sure. I think Uzbekistan are in the Club World Cup. I think. The Club World Cup. The World Cup. I think they have made it through, and I think Kusanov has been a part of this, but he's been sent off, which for Kusanov isn't the biggest surprise in the world. No diss onto them. But just because of how rash he can be, to be fair. So, hey, big episode to Kusanov, beating Egypt as well along the way here. This was just a friendly, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, friendly. So, hey, big ups. Good players to go up against here as well. Salah. And probably had Marmoush coming off the bench or something at some point here. So, hey, went up against a good team and got the win, to be fair to Uzbekistan. Fair play to him. And, Egypt, not an easy team to beat. So, yeah, again, fair play. As far as, City news goes, I'm not really sure. Oh, big. TNT are losing the rights to watch showcase Champions League games from 2027. Paramount Plus are in the pole position to win the contest abroad. That'd be big for Paramount. It is like a bit of a race, though. Disappointed, by the way, with how the Echeverri move to Leverkusen's done. I don't even blame it on him. He's just not getting picked at all. Don't know why. Maybe that is his fault, the why. But other than that, yeah, I don't really know why he's not getting picked. But yeah, Echeverri could be on the way back to River Plate, potentially on loan. But City apparently want a European-based move. But look, big up 70 tuned in. I do appreciate the support as per usual. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll make sure to see you all in the next one. Big up, see you all.